So out of all the Blackpill research I've done, I found this channel to be the best of it all. He's going to say some stuff that we'll both disagree with, but he's also going to say some things where I'm like, that's actually, you can't dispute that.
What is coping? I'll describe coping as the way you react to something bad happen to you. And when something bad happens, you have two options. You can either look at reality or you can choose a different path, which means you cope. So reality will be like some form of uncomfortable truth. It'll be harsh, some shocking realization, and people will usually choose to ignore this. Meanwhile, coping will be like some form of comforting lie. It's hopeful, it's emotionally pleasant, and it avoids blame and responsibility.
Okay, so he's saying cope is the opposite of reality. So that there's a different version of cope within each pill.
Let's say that somebody applied for a job interview and he didn't get a job. The cope would be, oh, I didn't like the company anyway. Yeah, it's their loss for not hiring me. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, my resume must have got lost. They didn't get my emails, or I must have just got overlooked. Something must have happened why I didn't get accepted. I
feel like the part of Blackpill that I don't fully agree with is the bioessentialist aspect of it. It's saying that if you're born good looking, if you're born athletic, then you're just going to win. Whereas the part of Red Pill that I think is, again, on the more positive side of the spectrum of Red Pill is no, you can improve, you can learn skills, you can
bring other things to the table.
I'm just not her type. I'm sure I'll find the right girl one day. Or, oh, women aren't worth it anyway. Yeah, dating is a waste of time. It's too much resources, effort, and time that needs to go into attracting women. It's not worth it. But the reality is, if a guy got rejected, he probably just got rejected because he's unattractive.
I think the idea behind looks versus vibe/charm and skill, like social skills, is that women, this is not according to me, this is according to my research on Blackpill, it's that women are more lenient with good looking men. In other words, they can get away with being an asshole or having a lack of effort.
That goes on for both genders though, and for all orientations. So I think though in general, the same thing with women, really, really good looking women can get away with like a bad attitude or like being shitty. And even within like queer community, right? Like it doesn't even matter if you're just like a cis hetero. Like if you're a good looking gay, you can get away with way more toxic behavior,
you're right,
way more abusive, like shitty things.
You and I both agree on something that is a shared perception of on reality as a black pill mindset. Now again, that's like not black pill per se, but what I'm saying is someone who has a black pill mindset
would also agree with that.
Exactly.
How do people cope? Well, according to this thing called attribution theory, there are two main ways that people cope. And people will usually, when they're coping, look to explain it with these kind of reasons, because it avoids responsibility. People don't want to have to blame themselves when something bad happens to them, so they will use these reasons instead. The way people mainly cope is they look at the consistency of the failure. And the failures can either be permanent or temporary.
He's saying that hope is an example of a temporary coping strategy.
If we go back to an example, the person who didn't get hired from a company, the external and temporary reasoning for why he didn't get the job would be, my application must have went missing. I was just really unlucky this time. Something must have happened. They didn't get my emails. There must have just been some slip up. And this does two things. So anything in this corner is going to be the biggest form of cope because it's avoiding any responsibility. You're saying that it had nothing to do with you. And you're also saying that there is hope. So you might have failed this year, but next year, when you apply again, then you'll get the job. Moving over to external permanent reasoning, people will say something like, oh, I didn't like the company anyway. Yeah, it's their loss for not hiring me. So in this case, they are accepting that things aren't going to change. They are accepting that the job wasn't for them, that they're not going to be working there. However, they are still externalizing the blame. So they're blaming the company, they're blaming other factors, the interview system, like whatever it is.
He's about to draw an analogy from blaming others, such as I didn't like the company anyway, an external, it's their fault. He's going to compare that to Mgtow, and I think that's true.
I will never have the skills, and people will never want to face this reality, even though it so often is a reality and the explanation of your failures. Because this does two things. It's admitting that there is no hope, that you're never going to change, and that you are also the sole reason of blame. And this is the hardest one that people will want to acknowledge. So people will usually advocate for
it's just not helpful
kind of things, copes instead.
Also, saying that there's no hope in changing, you're not going to change then. Like Blackpill is just like low effort. It's like, I already suck and I can't get better, so I should give up.
We'll hear phrases such as, there's a girl out there for everyone. She just hasn't turned up in my life yet. When I stop trying, the right girl will appear.
This is blue pill.
I just haven't found the right girl yet. or there's plenty of fish in the sea. So all of these phrases are saying that you've just got really unlucky this whole time, that the world is against you, you are not to blame in any way, shape or form, that you've just been really unlucky.
I don't think that those phrases actually mean that. That's inferring that. But like you said, like there's truth in all of these, right? Where I'm like, that's not completely...
Yeah, but hold on. When someone says plenty of fish in the sea to like a bald 48-year-old insurance salesman, it's just not true. They're not, for that guy, there is not.
He has a small pool.
And this is why you see so many blue-pilled men, because it's the most comforting thing to believe, because it both removes any responsibility that you have to do with it, and it also says that there is hope. And this is why the blue pill is still the most dominant ideology. So moving over to external permanent, this will be your Mgtow. So Mgtows will accept that the game is rigged and things are not going to change. So they know that there's no hope. However, they are still externalizing the blame. So they will argue things like, oh, yeah, the custody, marriage, paternity laws are unfair, that the odds are stacked heavily against men, and that there's a huge financial cost of divorce. And there might be some truth to these arguments. However, the reason why I think it's cope is because nobody's forcing you to do any of these things. Like, if you're so concerned with things like marriage or divorce, whatever, then just don't get married. Simple as that.
See, I agree with him here. I think his analysis of Mgtow is cope.
Same goes with like child custody or paternity. If you're worried about the laws regarding kids, then just don't have kids. Get a vasectomy, get male sterilization. You don't need to have kids.
I'd like to describe my own ideology as left Blackpill, in that I'm left of the spectrum. Left is like the non-toxic side, and then right-wing Blackpill is like the suicidal, violent. That's how I want to look at this. And I would see myself on the left, like the extreme left side of Blackpill. I'm almost like 50-50 or something, like 50% diet Blackpill and then 50% blue pill. Do you know what I mean? The way that I see the world.
I think I'm like a hopeful misandrist. I want to like men, and I want men to be more likable, and I want them to succeed. I want for their evolution and their growth, but like have my encounters with them made that feeling that I have easy?
Yeah,
No.
we need men training.
We need heavy men training.
Yeah, like emotional well-being, the ability to take rejection easily.
Yeah, we need to have a comprehensive, like the way that we raise and like treat men, like we need to give them more space to be emotional and learn how to process that. So we're not coming to the table like everybody's coming to the table fucking bitter.
Yeah, and I think if we talk to WheatWaffles, for example, I think he'd probably acknowledge that like if you are bitter, you haven't really worked on your interpersonal skills, specifically with like dating, and you're short and you're overweight and you work at a video rental store.
You're unfortunate looking.
When the truth is, Mgtows have no options. They are of poor genetic quality, and then they use these reasons to disguise from the fact
They have poor
that
genetic
they are unwanted
quality.
and rejected by women.
Damn, that is a fucking burn. The next time somebody pisses me off, you know that's what I'm going to say to them.
That you have poor genetic
I'm like,
quality.
you are of poor genetic quality, and I do not have time to argue with you, bitch.
That's actually, that hurts. That digs deep.
Well, and it also makes you think, right? Because then you're like,
Yeah.
well, what part are you saying that what?
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 It's almost as much of a cope as the blue pill. Moving over to internal temporary. So this will be our red pill. However, they are also hopeful that things are likely to change and that the power is in their hands. And you'll hear these phrases such as, I just need to, and then I'll be able to turn my life around. So I just need to get better game, and then women will like me. I just need to get ripped at the gym. I just need to work harder and earn more money, and then women will be chasing after me. They'll love me. And I want to make myself clear on this point. The red pill isn't always cope. Like, these things do work, and they can help you ascend, but only if like you have a somewhat decent level of genetic quality.
I agree. It's not just that, because what you need to get at is the root of like this entitlement and this bitterness. It's like letting go of like the expectation, right? Or I just need to work out and get ripped and get more money, and then this will happen, right? A plus B equals C. You just need to put A and B together, but the attachment to it equaling C will always bring you, it's the root of suffering. Attachment, your attachment to an expected outcome and reality.
He's making also a separate point in that he's saying, which I think is ludicrous. This is actually where I start to disagree with Blackpill. He's saying if you're a 4 out of 10 and you get ripped at the gym, you might still be a 4 out of 10.
In fact, that will only make things worse for you because you'll end up coming like a manlet. However, if you are like an average tier man, like maybe a 6 out of 10 looks wise, if you do these things such as learn game, going to the gym, and earning more money, then you will become more attractive and you will likely be able to ascend. However, it's not going to work if you're sub 5 in the face.
Sub 5 means you look like a dork, a nerd.
And that will be our blue-pilled simps. So they will say things like, oh, I just need to show her how much I care. I need to show her how much I love her. I just need to be available for her all the time, pick her up from work,
That's pick-me
respond
behavior.
to all of her messages immediately, send her flowers, send her gift cards, and then she'll see the real value in me, and then she'll see how much of a real man that I actually am.
This whole thing about like anti-simp energy, right?
Yeah.
Being like, that doesn't work. Yes, it does. Are you fucking kidding me? I know so many bitches out here with broke ass men, right? And they're like, oh my God, he took me to lunch. And I'm like, all right, cool. If you do nice things for her, she won't like it. Every girl that I know is like,
Okay, but the dude that took her out to lunch, are they boning?
yeah, probably.
Okay. All right.
So the black pill is the only ideology that both accepts things are going to be permanent, that there is no hope, there is no point in trying, and things aren't going to change. And it also internalizes the blame. So it is because of my inferior genetics is the main reason that I got rejected. It's because I am ugly. It's because I'm short. It's because of my race or any other thing to do with my genes.
So hopelessness equals good because
You've just given up.
Yeah.
You just give it up. And you know that you were not it.
this is where I start to fall off.
I'm
This-
just like, come
yeah,
on.
I don't
It's-
agree with this.
It's just so like too self-loathing.
And he says women are not to blame. They are only making the most rational and logical decision available to them. All right, let's move on to the next video.
Give me the weed, pass me a joint. Let's all get